Shalom, shalom. It's your brother Malcolm coming at you with another lesson in truth, giving you current events, prophecies in the Bible, giving all praises, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakadash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who are the true leaders of all Israel on earth today. Salutations to all the Akim out there that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and freedom to do so. The confusion of face Akim that are joined unto them, to the Akwaf that are actually listening and learning, the hopeful elect. Shalom. This is a speech that was given by Julius Malema of the EFF a little over a week ago, around a week ago. And we're just going to go into his speech and listen to some of the very prophetic things that he's saying. All right. And filter it through the scriptures.
Is a motion in the name of the Honorable J.S. Malema. I call upon the Honorable Malema
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, EFF leadership, members of the House, fellow South Africans. Almost 400 years ago, a criminal by the name of Jan van Riebeeck landed in our native land and declared an already occupied land by the native population as a no man's land. Van Riebeeck, the first descendant of the...
Let's stop right there. So this Lauren Anderson, I think her name is Lauren Anderson. I've done a couple videos. She's the one that's doing all the videos about the murder and land removal and land being confiscated from the Edomites that are in South Africa back to the Hamites. And there are some Israelites mixed in with them too. All right. But those are mostly Hamites in South Africa for the most part. And, she's telling the story about how the Danish arrived there and found empty land, and that no one was there. And that's a lie. They seen that same story here in America. You can't come to someone's home and say, I found you, or I found it when I already lived there. Okay. Come and stick your flag in my lawn and then declare my home yours. Let me get a quick scripture. This is Proverbs 22 and 28. Remove not the ancient landmarks which thy fathers have set. And truth be said, there's a precept to that in Deuteronomy 19 and 14 as well. But the Most High set those Hamites over there in that land. All right. Yahweh himself. All right, he divided up the lands among the people where he wanted them to be. And here Esau come, and try to remove and change everything around, turn everything upside down.
Dutch to arrive in the Cape will later lead a full-blown colonial genocide, anti-black land dispossession criminal project, arguing that simply because our people could not produce title deeds, this land that they have been living in for more than 1,000 years was not their own.
So, because they didn't have paperwork in their own home, they didn't have a system like that or honor a system like that. There was no need for it. See, where there's the need of paperwork, might I add you, is a place of corruption. All right, because there was a time when a handshake was a handshake. When something was decreed by a king, it was decreed. All right. So when you start dealing with paperwork, you're starting to deal with a lot of corruption in politics, which is something that was given to the world by the so-called white man, who was Esau Edom. Okay. So he did this land grab. Let's get Habakkuk. Habakkuk 12 and 6. 12 and 12. Salakia. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. All right. So iniquity and blood is how they established these cities and these places in South Africa, the main place being Johannesburg. Now, I've never been to South Africa. I've only seen movies and pictures. I've never been to the continent of Africa. You know, that's one place I haven't. That's one place that I haven't been. You know, I have traveled, but never to the continent of Africa.
Essentially, he was disregarding their humanity, treating them as part of the animal world. To him and many who would have come long after him, the Africans were less than human, not deserving of land ownership. On this,
And that's how the so-called white man, who is Esau Edom, established himself worldwide. He did the same thing here in America with my people. Did the same thing. And brought Cesare Borgia, the image of a pale-faced Jesus, whose real name is Yahweh Shai, all right? Not Yeshua, or all of those any other names. His name was Yahweh Shai, all right? And when he came on the earth, he had a skin complexion a lot like the man that's on the screen, all right? Except for in our culture, it is an abomination to put a blade to your head and your face like that. That's wickedness, all right? But nevertheless, as far as skin tone, the Bible tells you over and over again what the people of the Lord looked like. And they were all different shades of brown. All right. From dark brown, much darker than this guy, to a very, very light brown, to almost, looking like something else. But the majority of the Israelites were a dark flesh people, like this Julius Malema on the screen here, this Hamite.
basis, the project disempowering Africans of the ability to call this place their land was initiated in blood and in pain. Millions ended up in the humiliated, conquered township condition of being cheap and easily disposable labor. Cecil Rhodes, Paul Kruger, John Smart, General Herzog, Verwoerd, Botha, even de Klerk, all labored on the Van Riebeck assumption that Africans are less than human. They all, one after another, assaulted the humanity of African, keeping them dispossessed of land as cheap and easily disposable labor.
Same thing happened here in America. All right? He's calling them townships, but in America they call them reservations. Well, he had the removal act of Hamites off their land. They had an Indian Removal Act, which was instituted by Andrew Jackson, which they confiscated lands, and and the so-called white man became wealthy here in America as a result of that. And they have stayed ahead of everyone else in wealth and land ownership ever since, and control all the businesses and et cetera, and then poke fun of the people of color when they have nothing, when you stole everything. And then they'll say, oh, well, my people came over here and they had nothing. Yeah, but your people had this place was set up for your people. It was set up for pale people coming to America. Same thing happened in South Africa. Your people that came after you, they were the ones that were able to come over and work and obtain land opportunity ahead of the indigenous people. And they look at this sort of action as if it's nothing, and talk about it as if it's nothing. But that's okay. You're in the trick bag now because you're about to lose everything.
Since those painful days when the Khoi of the Cape were defeated and conquered at the establishment of the Cape Colony to the area of the 1,800 with expansion of colonial control into the hinterlands. The days of the Battle of Nome River in 1838 against the Zulu people, the Battle of Mariko River in 1837 against Mzilikazi in north of Transvaal, the attacks of Tababusiu of King Mushweshwe in 1865, the village raids of Bavenda that led to heroic resistance by King Makado in 1867, the capture and imprisonment of the Khoi chiefs in Robben Island fighting for land in 1870, up to the Land Act of 1913.
So they had a Land Act. Same thing happened in America, like I said. All right?
Colonial crimes against Humanity of native population did not end there with the Land Act of 1913. They continued through the forced removals of the Group Areas Act that displaced millions of black people to live in prison camps we now call township.
See, same thing. They removed the brown people of the Americas, all right, into reservations as they confiscated their lands with brutal colonial tactics. All right. And then they'll tell you, oh, well, we civilized you. We were civilized when you got here. If you didn't hide and cover up history. All right. In South America and North America, they had huge, gigantic cities, clean cities with working indoor plumbing. Streets were clean. Water was clean. All right. There was no disease, no gonorrhea, no syphilis, no herpes, no common cold. All that filth was brought by Esau Edom, along with your pale face lie, which is Cesare Borgia, all right, which you refer to, which the world ignorantly refers to as Jesus. Okay?
The so-called township is not a settlement of human beings, it's a prison camp. Those who came in power in 1994, carrying the popular mandate of our people.
So basically, all the way up into 1994, these people were still suffering through the corruption and the wrongs of the so-called white man. This is Nahum 3:1. Woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. Okay, and that's the same thing that happened here in the Americas in every place that they went. You can say the same story in Australia, the same story in the Philippines. All right, the same story in the Fiji Islands when they took Greece from the real brown-skinned Greeks and now call themselves Greeks, and then put up the images of themselves and told the world that they're the Greeks. This is what the so-called white man does because he's been running and hiding from his true nationality, which is Esau Edom.
To restore the dignity of African child by reinstating land to the dispossessed, forgot their mandate. They became drunk in luxury and glory, building false reconciliation without justice. It took the formation of the EFF 20 years later to revive the question of the dignity of our people in the need for our land. It took the arrival of the EFF in these chambers to return in the central agenda of human freedom the need for the land that was dispossessed through a brutal crimes against humanity.
There you go. So that land was possessed through brutal crimes against humanity, man. All right. And that's the MO of Esau Edom, the so-called white man, wherever he goes in the earth. All right. And like the little Edomite chick, Lauren, with all her broadcasts on YouTube, you know, they talk about this thing as if it's a light thing. They don't consider the crimes that they did to get the land. And now it's being done to them what they did, and they don't like it. This is Sirach 21:8. All right. He that buildeth his house with other men's money is like one that gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his own burial. And now that land that they stole, a lot of it is becoming their tombs, man. Them Hamites are rolling up on them and putting them to death on their own farms and things of that nature. But truth of the matter is, it's not their farms, it's not their lands because they didn't belong there. All right. Here's another one in Sirach. Let's go to Sirach 10:8. All right, because it clearly tells you that when you cease to deal treacherously, they will deal treacherously with thee. But this is and I think I'm gonna grab that. This is Sirach 10:8. All right, the last one was 21:8. This one's 10:8. Sirach 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. All right, so the so-called white man deceitfully and unrighteously and through injuries translated the land of South Africa and many other places around the world to himself. And now it's being taken from him in South Africa. And one of the reasons why Lauren Anderson is the main one reporting on this, but not the mainstream media, because it's showing you that there is no such thing as white superiority. Just like there's no such thing as white people. All right, they're really red. If you look on the screen, there are three people, four people wearing white shirts. No one's skin is that color. The white people are translucent and they appear to be pinkish or red. because their blood shows forth through their skin. All right, their blood shows forth through their skin, hence the redness. You know, when they call themselves a red neck, it's not just their necks that are red. Their backs, their hands, their faces, their legs, their chest, their bodies are red. They are the true red men, and they call the natives who are really brown red. You keep no, they will paint red, put red paint on their face for war, but that wasn't the color of their skin. All right, the devil and the deceiver. This is Colossians 3:24. Knowing that Yahweh, ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve Lord Hamashiach. All right, so that's talking about the Israelites. But verse 25, but he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he have done, and there is no respect of persons, man. So that right there is going to be applied to the so-called white man, all right, and who is Esau Edom. Why? For the wickedness he has done. Okay, you can't do the things that he's done and just get away with it. One final scripture. So go to the book of Isaiah. I believe it's 30 and 1, I think. No, 33 and 1. Yes. All right, because the so-called white man is being spoiled now. His house is his doors are being kicked in. His woman and his daughters are being ravished. He and his son is being put to the sword. All right, in the land of South Africa. And soon, another reason why they're not reporting on this, because that sentiment is starting to grow and they don't want it to spread worldwide, but it is. Because, you know, that's going to start happening up in Europe with the invasion of all those different Arabs, Hamites, and Israelites. So all those brown nations that are now, those hordes of brown nations that are now in Europe as by result of wars that were created by the so-called white man. They complain about refugees, and they're the ones that bomb everyone's land and make them have to leave the lands where they are. All right? Stupid. This is Isaiah 33 and 1. Woe to he that spoileth, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. And that's exactly what's happened. You see the pathetic pleas of these Edomites in South Africa, begging to have mercy and keep their lands, and they got no place to go. And I even saw something, I have to look more into it, where they were asking to come here to America. And if they do come, that's gonna help fast forward the racial separation and violence, and help bring on the race wars here in America, because they're gonna get a different sentiment from the people. What they're starting to receive in Africa from those Hamites is going to be met with a lot of racial aggression when they get here to America, with the mindset that they have. All right? But they're looking for mercy, and there's going to be no mercy. So with that, all praise, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh Shem Shai and Abba Babal.
The time for reconciliation is over. Now is the time for justice.
There it is.